Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR Lady. Welcome back. We are here talking with our consultant, Jessica Millhiser, on how to help entrepreneurs build better, sustainable businesses. And right now we want to talk about, okay, hey, you're an entrepreneur, you've been in business for a while, whether you have one employee, no employees, or 50 employees, and you're ready to start in a new service or a new program in that company. Jess, give our listeners some advice on how to launch a new service or a program, like the Startup Blueprint.
Yeah. So the Service Startup Blueprint is actually something new that I've built out really out of necessity, because I've been working with clients that are creating new services, creating programs. So I'm in a community of women where a lot of them are coaches. A lot of them do like year-long programs. So it basically, what the Service Startup Blueprint is it the operational go-to-market strategy for this new service or program. So basically you have this idea, you're like, oh, I want to like shift or tweak or adjust something in my business. I want to launch this new service, or I do want to build out a new program. Okay, cool. That's awesome. But like, what does that actually look like? Who are your ideal clients? What value are you actually bringing? Who would not be the right fit for this new service or program? And then what are your deliverables? What are your timelines? What are your value adds? Why would somebody want to pay, $10,000 a year to join this program, to be part of this experience, right? So what are you delivering? And what does that basically client progression, client flow, or service flow actually look like start to finish? And that can also include like, what consultation questions are you trying to ask? How does your onboarding process work, and how do they get set up into your business flow? What does maybe the offboarding or the transition part of the program look like? So maybe they're doing a year-long program, and then cool, now we go into like an accountability component after that. Like, what do those back-end transitional pieces actually look like in this new service or program?
I love it. It's super important. I mean, I just launched a new program myself, and you have to have all these questions addressed ahead of time. Otherwise, you're just going to be swimming, and it's not going to be a good swim. That's for sure. You're going to be swimming in just questions, expenses that you're like, oh, why did I just pay for this advertisement over there? That's not even my target market. Or why did I go to this conference and try to speak there when that's not my target market that's there? So there's so much more to running a business than just saying, I have a great idea and everybody's going to buy it. It's like, no, only these people are going to buy it, and they're the people you need to target it to.
And then also understanding, like having all of this mapped out ahead of time helps you sell it better. It helps you find the right fit clients better. So it's not just, oh, I'm just throwing fishing poles out there. It's like, no, I am very strategic. This is what the service is. This is what this program does. This is the value add. This is what you can expect to gain and experience throughout the program. And this is why it's a good fit for you. So you can go into these more, quote unquote sales calls more confidently, because you know how the program works and what value it will bring for them.
Approximately 42% of new service launches fail because businesses underestimate the importance of thorough market research, strategic planning, and execution beyond the initial idea. Back to you.
I think that's scary. The cool thing is the younger generation, and I won't say what the names of those generation or what the ages, but I feel like they're less risk averse. So they're willing to fail, where many of us oldies, I'm about to turn 50. So I'll say anybody in my age at grouping up, we tend to be more risk averse because that's what we were raised. Like, oh no, hold on to the career. The pandemic and a few other, financial failings of the United States in the past, I think really got people to say, all right, well, I'm I'm broke as a joke anyways. I just lost my job because of the pandemic or because of something else, a financial crash. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump forward and start a new business. The newer, younger people, they're not waiting for that. They're just doing it. What are your thoughts on that, Jess?
There's something to be said for going all in, and kind of figuring it out as you go along. And that can definitely work. It can work. I am a planner. I would never do I would never do it because I just wouldn't be able to handle it. Like, I need to have a plan. I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know how it works. That being said, that you do want to leave room for creativity. You do want to leave room for pivot points and figuring out, I think evaluations are very important. What's working, what's not working, what needs to shift. That is just a normal dynamic when you're an entrepreneur, always. So I think if you've got the funds and you've got the runway to just kind of jump in and go for it, then okay.
Right. But still have a plan, even if you're jumping in, not because you failed at something else or lost your job or, were laid off or something like that. Jumping in, you still need to have a plan, because even if you do have the money, I'm sure you don't want to blow it on unnecessary advertising or whatever it is. But this is where you can get folks like Jess, myself, the HR lady, an HR consultant, an accountant, a lawyer. You need all of these things, probably these days, an IT/software company that can help you make sure you're not, loading things onto your computer that's breaking down everything. JC just shared with me a stat. Entrepreneurs who run their businesses with a proactive, growth-oriented mindset are 30% more likely to achieve significant revenue growth compared to those who adopt a more conservative approach.
Well, if you think about, what's that quote? It's like, what gets measured gets managed.
Yeah.
So if you know what you're tracking, if you know what your measurables are, what you're trying to hit, what your benchmarks are, I call them focus points, right?
Yep.
You need focus points. What are we doing today, this week, this month, this year to move my business forward?
Right. One other thing I wanted to say is, before we wrap up this session, on the same note there, for our listeners today who aren't entrepreneurs, but maybe are considered being entrepreneurs, or you work for an entrepreneur, you want to find out, what does the owner, the executive team, what are they measuring? Because that's what I should be working towards. That's why they're denying my ideas over here, because it doesn't connect to what they're actually measuring over here. So very, very valuable point about the metrics there. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to episode 4 of our 5-part series. In our next episode, our final episode, we're going to be talking about looking ahead, vision and aspirations for sustainable growth. And a reminder that we always want your feedback on the program. So feel free to reach out to me and let me know what other topics you want to hear about. You can simply email me at wendy@thehrlady.com. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.